Welcome to RC Underground Radio.
We're racing toy cars here.
If you've been looking for a podcast that talks about one RC tracks, suppliers, and events, then you're in the right place.
I haven't changed my underwear since the Kenman. I'm not kidding.
I'm
not kidding. It's
I didn't
the
want
same.
to go there.
It's this.
And we're glad you're here. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Retzloff and David Brinkman.
I am a BB in a boxcar.
So, Ryan, we got another guest here on Above Ground.
I'm a little excited about this one.
Yeah, we've kind of kept it under wraps, but we've kind of teased it. Did some teasers out there.
Yeah, just a bit. But hang on 1 minute before we get started. I gotta crack an ice cold monster here.
Yeah. Okay. But we've given so many hints.
Good.
If people haven't figured this out by now. Anyways, in all seriousness, no. If not for this next guest, I can safely say, being the owner of the RC Underground and somebody who races one RC cars, we may have never started this thing.
No.
It would not, for sure, not be as successful or as fun as it is. He's probably the most influential personality within the 1RC movement, someone who gives way more than he gets in return.
For sure.
And so, you know what, we could just keep going and going and going, but let's just bring him on the line.
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy to bring on the line Matt, the Murf Dogg. Murphy. Dog, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Man, you guys give me goosebumps.
Was it me opening the monster or just,
all of the above.
Yeah, I love them too, buddy. I love them too. You're into the flavors. I'm OG. I go with the original, but good stuff.
I'm into the sugar-free.
Oh,
That's
nice.
what I'm all about. All the ones with zero sugar.
Good.
So I got a family history of diabetes, pre-diabetes, stuff like that. So I just avoid it before I get there.
That's smart.
There
right?
you go. I'm with you, brother. I'm in that lane, unfortunately, too. So
I'm working at getting there.
it.
I'm working at getting there, fellas.
He's probably there. He just hasn't tested.
You keep drinking the OG, you're gonna get there.
Yeah, he'll be in the club, right? So, hey, probably cliche, but why'd you get involved with not just an RC? I mean, we can peel the onion that far back, but let's just start. Like, how and why did you get involved in the 1RC racing segment? Because I know you're involved in just about every scale racing there probably has ever been.
Well, I went to my buddy's hobby shop down in Florida. It was called RC Revolution, RC Revo, and I was hanging out with some buddies down there, and we were dirt oval racing 10 scale stuff at their local dirt oval track, and gnarly Florida storm came in and it dumped and they canceled racing. And so we're out there, we got like one heat race in. So we're like, oh, let's just go to the hobby shop. We hung out at the hobby shop. Well, it just happened to be racing 1RC that evening. So it just worked out that while I'm in town, they have 1RC racing going on. And I had never driven a 1RC car. I think I might have seen one time and like held one in my hand. I really wasn't into it at all. And one of the local guys said, hey, man, I'd love if you would drive my car. And I'm like, you serious? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. So I drove his car and ended up TQing and winning their club race, which was fun. But to me at the time, 1RC cars were really just like a novelty. They didn't run really great. They were kind of slower with nickel metal stuff and like they were cool to an extent, but I really wasn't like feeling it, And then after racing was done, the guy's like, hey, I have a lipo that'll fit in there. I'm like, oh yeah? Is it go faster? He's like, yeah, oh yeah. So I put a lipo in there and then I went out with it and they're like, yeah, we really can't get them around with these, but I mean, you can go ahead and try it. And I started driving that thing with a lipo and I made a bunch of chassis changes. And by the time I was done, I had a big smile on my face. I was like, all right, now we're talking. And so then that was the same month where I was deciding to open my own indoor carpet track here in Mooresville, North Carolina. And I said, well, maybe we should look into some 1RC stuff. So I left my buddy's hobby shop that day with my first 1RC car. And I didn't really touch it until we got our shop all built and got the carpet laid down. And I guess one of the biggest and probably the most important thing that happened, COVID hit. and we weren't able to open for like 9 months. And it was like me and a couple buddies hanging out at my shop playing with 1RC cars, battling for lap times and learning how to tune them. And when everything we learned, we do live videos and share it. We called our 1RC quarantuning series. And that was like huge because we learned how to turn these like novelty RC cars into small race cars. And we picked up a lot of speed, made it way more drivable. We found all these little tricks, and all that stuff is still everything what we're using today. And it really has made it more fun. In my opinion, there's no more competitive, cost-effective form of motorsports in the world. So
there's no doubt about that. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, you could be, $300 all in and be competitive. And that's one of the coolest things that got me hooked on these things. Cause when I think of RC cars, right. And all you big dogs out there with, you got a chassis, right. That's $500. So imagine, you know what I mean? Here I can go play for $300.
Yeah.
And
so,
then, it hooks you.
So it was kind of weird for me. I've been used to racing $1,500, $2,000 race cars for the last 25 years of my life. And so here I am, I'm thinking, well, shoot, these cars, to build it with every option part possible, you're looking at $300, $350. If I want to spend $2,000 on 1RC, I'm going to do it with 5 cars. Yep. And it's like, wow, that's a pretty neat thing. And so the price point is really right where it needs to be to get new racers involved. And 1RC should be utilized as like a springboard to the 10th scale cars or other bigger scales, different genres of RC racing, because the entry point is so good for quality competitive racing. Yeah. And I thought that was just like awesome. And I contacted 1RC, and it just so happens that the guy that owns 1RC, Brent Redlin, it's someone I've worked with in the past, and he used to design stuff for Team Losi a long time ago, and I used to design stuff for Team Losi a long time ago when I raced for Team Losi. So it was like, oh man, we go way back, and so we had like kind of a rapport together, and then working with them directly has been really good. We help them with testing and developing new stuff, and it's a good relationship we have. And it's been really great. I couldn't imagine my life without 1RC now, because the guys that come into my shop and my track and the atmosphere we have, it's second to none. I mean, just the culture we've created at my facility is really what keeps me going back every week with a smile on my face, and I get to see all my friends and we get to play with toy cars. So it's been pretty great.
Yeah, for sure. And you've called it my facility, my track. Let's just set the record straight. It is Race City.
Yeah, for sure.
It is Daytona, baby. I mean, for us, a couple of guys sitting here in Wisconsin, we're putting money aside because we're like, it's not just on the bucket list, it's on the top of the bucket list. We have to get to Race City. I mean, just the way it shows online. I mean, just the pink and the vibrance and the race car body parts on the wall, and just the whole thing.
And the way it's run. Yeah. The way it's run. That for me is one of the biggest things. It's tight, it's organized, right? But it's not to a point where it's like, because I watch a lot of your videos online, Matt. And
right. Who are we kidding? We watch every video online.
Yeah, basically.
We're basically waiting, okay?
Yeah, when's the next one? But you could, the tuning guide that you put out for the late models is the one I've probably watched 37,000 times over and over again to get it right. But, when you watch that racing, it's fast, it's competitive. It's a lot of fun. And with you listening to you call the races and stuff, I get an absolute blast out of it. That, and we try and emulate a lot of that, the organization, keeping a tight schedule, on and on and on at the underground. But it's a place you want to go, because that seems where all of the top racers are, kind of, they're at Race City.
Right.
As well as other tracks, throughout
the country. There's definitely talented guys all over the place, but we have a nice concentration of guys that work hard and have fun. But I'll put my guys up against anybody in the country. just because I know how hard they work, and we work together on setups, and we have a couple people who come in and practice a whole bunch, and just watching their improvements and all that. It's been pretty awesome. But I mean, yeah, when it came time to build my own RC track, I always remind myself, you have one shot at a first impression. So when they walk in that door, something needs to wow them. And if the neon pink colors don't catch your eye, and the super bright light, LED lighting doesn't say, wow, look at this place, then the race car parts on the walls, stuff like that. I mean, I wanted you to walk in the door and say, wow. So,
well, being a fellow track owner, what wows me is I'm like, holy cow, what does it cost for electric and air conditioning and probably not too much heat, but I'm like, holy cow.
Well, so it's not cheap. And unfortunately, in the last year, my power bills have doubled. I'm not going to try to get into politics, but you guys know why. But yeah. So I have a promise to my racers that all winter long, I'll keep my building 68 degrees, and all summer long, I'll keep my building 68 degrees. And you will never come during the summer when it's 95 out and humid as hell. You can rest assured you're going to come to my place and you're going to sit in the nice, refreshing air conditioning. And during the winter when it's cold as hell and rainy or snowy or whatever, we didn't get any snow this year, but sometimes when it's not good outside, it's nice and warm in my shop. And that's part of the whole experience, in my opinion, is just having the nice climate and controlled atmosphere. Now it's not cheap, but to me it's just part of the whole show. So
part of owning a business. So you touched a little bit about that relationship with 1RC. If you're comfortable, can we go a little deeper into that? I think you were pretty
ask away.
Yeah, pretty transparent when, like, just say for example, the Pavement Modified came out. You had your hands on it early before it went out to the public.
I was so mad that you wouldn't tell us what it was. I was waiting because you said something, and I'm like, okay, what is it? What is it? What is it? I'm on 1RC's website every day, waiting, Instagram, looking for stuff. I'm like, come on. Somebody.
Yeah. So the starting with the late model, and then the dirt modified, and then the asphalt modified, all the four-wheel independent suspension car, or the independent front suspension cars. I did all I did a lot of the testing work and development work as far as track testing and giving input to 1RC on that stuff. The hard part is doing that in secrecy, because if anybody knows I'm at the shop any given day, even if we're not open, they know they can just swing by and hang out or whatever. And I don't tell nobody when I have something to test. I don't tell anybody I'm there. I don't turn the computer on. I don't want anybody to see any lap times and know I'm there or anything like that with live RC. So testing a car and then not letting it out of the bag is the hard part, especially when I see guys constantly posting, oh, it's going to be this, or they should do this. I have my opinions on what I'd like them to build and what I think they should build, but the honest part of that is, until I have a car in front of me to test, I don't know what the next project is going to be. They do a good job of keeping a lid on that. So, but guys keep on asking, what do you think the next car is going to be? And I hear all these different things. Oh, some guys want a NASCAR stock car. Some guys want a truck. Some guys want this. Some guys say, oh, we should build an Indy car. And it's like, well, I just tell guys, you should think about what's logical. What's a logical next step?
Right.
And I have a specific opinion on what that should be, and we'll see what comes out next. But based on the typical timeline for testing stuff, I should get a phone call pretty soon here about, hey, I got something new for you.
I'm excited.
So I don't know. We'll see how that goes and when it happens. But it's exciting to not know, but then also know that you're going to be a part of it. So that's kind of fun.
Right. And I'm glad they go to you because you've got a lot of experience with these. You put out your chassis tuning guide years ago, and it still kills me that thing's free. I use it all the time. I mean, seriously, man, I've got it printed out. I keep it in my pit box with me. It applies to so much. And thank you for that on behalf of everyone. But with specifically the 1RC, how much input do you have back to those guys in terms of, hey, I'd change this or do this, or is it pretty much, hey, we built this, now Murf, go make it fast?
What I would say, the honest way to put it is, they do all the design work and whatnot, and then they send it to me. I test them. I send my feedback. If I feel like something isn't good or something needs to go a certain direction, I'll definitely pass along that input. One thing that I'm proud of is that I really pushed them into putting a better servo in the late model, modified, and asphalt mod. That's got a metal gear servo in it, instead of the one that come in all the solid axle cars. And I told them, I said, just even if the cars cost $10 a piece more, having the better servo right from the get-go makes the driving experience so much better. So that's one of the things I really pushed for. I guess one thing that's like really foreign to me when it comes to the development work and the testing is they want me to basically I have to tune on the car and drive the car out of the box and give feedback. Then I have to do some basic tuning with whatever's provided out of the box and give feedback. And then I'm asked to do a little more fine tuning using other WRC stuff. And then the next thing is they want me to do destructive testing, and that's the hardest thing for me to do after 26 years of racing, is purposely try to break a car. And like I sit there and cringe. I'll run 3 or 4 battery packs, full throttle hits into the wall at every different angle you can imagine, trying to break the cars in half. And I cringe every time I make contact, but I mean, that's what I'm asked to do. And the positive thing is, man, I haven't broke anything. So like sometimes when people break a lot of parts, I'm like, man, I don't know how you do that, because I know how much I put the cars through.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff I get it, but yeah, it's just one of those things where they want my input from many different levels. I mean, for the basic customer is going to buy the car and maybe drive it in their garage or on their driveway, and it may never ever see a racetrack, so they're never going to see the grip that my carpet has. Right. And there's you gotta make the car good for those guys too. Tire testing is one of the hardest things for me to it's one of the most time consuming thing is tire test. So like they'll send me a bunch of tires. I know for the late model I had like 5 different compounds of tire. I know the asphalt mod, I had 5 different compounds of tire to test, and what we ended up on is quite a bit different than what we started out with. And just getting the right compound mix, and then having the option for a softer rear tire in the box. I mean, it costs a little bit more, but it makes it so if you're driving on a very low grip surface, you can still hook the thing up. And just trying to get the packages right. That's where all the detail work goes in. And it's been a fun ride. Just going through the shocks and doing my standard shock mod stuff really brings the car to life, helps the car make grip, and then going to the short springs all the way around on that car really brings it to life.
Yeah, you get it nice and low, get that lower center of gravity in it, and you can get it to hook. And that's the funny thing. I see you mentioned tire prep. You know, at the underground, it was a game changer for us because we were running on a foam surface and it had absolutely none. And I think as that groove kind of wore in, you just require less and less prep. In fact, most features I won't even touch my tires because of some of the stuff that you've taught us fellow RC racers through Facebook and your videos. I mean, I can get it to hook the center. You know, just stand on the throttle, eliminate all the traction roll, all of that. I mean, it's like it's cool because again, and if you really want to fine tune, you can go through the chassis tuning guide because a lot of all that stuff basically applies. You just have to have an understanding and knowing what your car's doing. But I think that setup that you provided us, at least on the late models, the dirt late models, gave us a good baseline to then be able to fine tune and tweak. And that's where I'm getting to the point too with my cars, because I got a small addiction. But with my asphalt modifieds, it's kind of like, okay, I drove it once. Oh, now I know what to do, right? This, you know, I'm loose off. I've got to change this. And so that was really a great video that you put out to kind of give us all racers just an absolute baseline setup.
Right.
You know, I'm grateful for it. But one of the things, you know, with these cars, it's like, I mean, I know the shocks are very important, right? Drilling the shock
Yep.
caps, right? I mean,
Yep.
you get that. They kind of like basically hydro lock to a degree.
Yep.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
what's one of the other big things you would suggest doing to these cars to improve speed or handling?
The number one thing I won't. If someone shows up in my shop 30 minutes before racing starts and says, "Hey, can you help me get this thing set up?" First thing I'll do is take off all 4 shocks, do my shock mods to them, a little bit of green slime on the O-ring. I'll measure all the shocks, make sure they're all the same length, check the stroke on them and everything. And then I'll, like a late model, any of the independent front suspension cars. The easiest to drive caster setup is with the right front all the way back and the left front forward, and car's pretty decent there. And then just make sure all the links are free. That's the next biggest thing. All of your radius rods, make sure they pivot free on the ball studs. If there's one bound up, you can squeeze on it or take a pair of needle nose and usually free them up a little bit. But any sort of bind is going to make the car inconsistent and basically unpredictable. So
Yeah, and I know that's kind of your rule of thumb, right? Consistency. And
100%.
yeah, I mean
Yep.
that you know what, consistent lap times, and so yeah, it's just crazy to me too how the slightest adjustment on the cars affect them. I think 1RC really knocked that out of the park.
I'll just go right to it. You are making sure that people all around the country, and I don't know, maybe other countries, I don't know where these cars are sold, are just really enjoying these cars. It's got to be kind of a really good feeling.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of jump around on answering that, but I used to be a top 10 scale racer, and I basically started my own chassis company with a good friend of mine in 2012, and from 2012 to 2016, my job was no longer to try to be the guy, the fast guy winning races. My job was then to help our customers and help our team, and I crew chiefed my business partners' cars, and it came to the point where we were battling for A-main wins at big races all over the country. Every race we went to, we were running up front, and I learned how to accept victories where it's not about me, it's about us, and that really helped me. Having that role in our company helped me to accept success of others equal to success as as at a personal level. And so fast forward, I mean, since then, like, I've always loved helping guys, but I found an extra level of enjoyment helping someone with their car and seeing their face when it runs right, and just hearing the change in their voice when something runs better, or their car's running better than it ever has, or someone, like when someone gets their first win and I helped them a bunch. That's like, I can't even explain. Like, when I drink a nice cold Monster out straight out of the freezer, oh man, it gives me a little rush. But watching someone win or have that smile, it's like triple that. You know what I mean? The endorphins your body hits, it's like, so for me, it's a little something special. So, like, we had a practice night at my track 2 nights ago, and there's a guy who's really been struggling with his asphalt modified, and went through his car and radio and a bunch of stuff. And by the end of the night, he was like, "Man, I've never had this thing running this good." And this the attitude change, the smile, just the little extra kick in their step, like that's what does it for me. And if you would have asked me 25 years ago if helping somebody would be as good as me winning a race, and I would have probably been like, yeah, right, never. But I'm getting old now. I turned 40 this year, and it's not about me. It hasn't been about me for a long time, but it's like, I do my best when I race, and I want to win. I'm a competitive. I want to win just like anybody else, but I can find plenty of enjoyment in helping others win or helping others improve. And those are the small victories. And that's honestly, I do a lot of race announcing, and I race a couple times a year, and with my track and other tracks I announce at in other races, I'm at an RC track 2 to 3 days a week, and various tracks, various states all over the country. If I have a bad weekend and I let that carry over into the next week, I'm going to be a miserable person that week. I don't ever want to put out that vibe at the track. So I have to control my mindset and my expectations and keep everything in check so that I never have a bad weekend at the track. And a lot of that is just straight up attitude. So winning no longer is the only thing, and like that's been gone for a long time from my mindset. And the more people I can help, the better. And the more people having fun in this industry, the better it is for me. I make a living selling RC products, so if I can help a guy have more fun, and then maybe when he needs to buy a product next time, be like, hey, that guy helped me out. Maybe I'll help him out, support his business. So
Yeah, you said it best, Murph. I mean, it is, and I think it's as you become older, right, and you gain some wisdom, and you figure out what's more fulfilling in your life, and it really
Right.
is just helping others. And you know, you're right. I just can't say it enough. It kind of gave me goosebumps when you started going through it, because it is about that friendship. And if you're going to work on somebody's car and help them out through a challenge they're having, because they're there for a reason, right? They want to have some fun. Well, if they're not having
Yep.
fun, they're not going to come back. So
100%.
yeah, so that's very cool that you do that. Even outside of the fact that you're a track owner and you run an RC shop, it doesn't matter. I mean, just the fact that you want to do that for them, and make them more competitive, and get that feeling, when they set fast time, or win a race.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
important.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you're talking about that, because it's good to get that out there. People that want to come to your track and race, myself included, because I'll probably need a lot of help.
Yeah, well, the one of the things, like I don't race at my track very often. Um, some nights, if we don't have a big trout in the class, and there's a kid that helps me announce races named Collins Janis at my place. He's a fun guy on the microphone too. So if he's there and there's a class that he's not racing and we don't have a full field, I might toss my car down, start in the back of the feature or something like that. But I don't get a race very often. So at my place, my victories are when I can help someone have their best finish ever or stuff like that. That's typically about as good as it gets for me as far as racing. And honestly, I don't race near as much as I'd like to. I think this year, as of January 1st, I think I was scheduled to announce 42 weekends of the year somewhere in America, and so that leaves me 10 weekends that I can go racing somewhere. And I
Wow.
just spent one of those weekends in Hawaii, so
Yeah, yeah,
so
good for you.
took the girlfriend to Hawaii for her birthday, and
Which island did you stay on?
we went to Maui for 2 days,
I
and
love
then on
Maui.
Oahu for 5.
Yeah, Maui's my favorite. Well, I hope you guys
Yeah.
had a blast.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was fun. We had a good time. It was my buddy Kurt. He races at my track every Monday with us. Him and his wife. They went with us. It was for their honeymoon actually. So it's pretty neat.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
Hey,
I'm
I want
glad
to
you
I
got to
want to
experience
I
that.
want to touch on that relationship thing for a minute. So, I mean, our podcast is focused on one RC cars, right? So it was a no-brainer that at some
Mhm.
point we had to have Murf Dogg on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, you are the synergy of it. But truth be told, my son lives in Dallas, 4 hours from
Okay.
Tulsa, and
Mhm.
I had the trip pre-planned, didn't even realize, and then found out, like, oh my gosh, RC Chili Bowl is the weekend. Like, I'm gonna be at your house, Kyle. He's like,
Right.
yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm flying into Dallas. You're picking me up, and we're driving straight to Tulsa. So we went there, and I'm being honest. It was fun to go in and see the midgets. The Chili Bowl.
Right.
We know Chase McDermott and the family, and so
Yeah.
we wanted
Cool.
to see them. But I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I was
That
coming.
kid. That kid's had an amazing year, by the way.
Yeah, when
Oof.
that track rubbered up on Thursday night or Friday night, he
Yeah.
was unbelievable. But
Yeah.
I'm like, Murph is going to be there. I want to see this racing, and I honestly drove 4 hours to come see it because I'm like, here's my opportunity. I get to really see this dude, right? I'm gonna get to see him for him, and really glad I did. it was crazy. You were getting the car ready when I walked up, and you were like, "Hey, you know, I had my RC Underground shirt on, so you kind of, you know, spotted me and said, "Hey, how you doing?" We talked a little bit. And you said, "Hey, let me come around. Let me come around to your side, and we'll talk." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then we're talking for like a good 5-10 minutes, and then you said, "Yeah, I'm like 5 races away from racing. You guys gonna hang out and watch me race?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, he took some pretty valuable time to talk to me. That makes it even better. But above that, real quick, and this is where I was going with the relationship part. It made me think of it when you brought up that you went to Hawaii with your girlfriend. Is you took a night off of racing and took your girlfriend to the Chili Bowl because she had never been there before. And dude, like, okay, you write the book on RC setup. Like, you need to write the book on relationships, because that was a sweet move. That was cool. That was really something.
Well, it was one of those situations where things just kind of worked out a certain way, and um, trying to stay grounded and keep a good attitude about everything is like, all right, I go to Chili. That was my 13th or 14th RC Chili Bowl. I've won that race plenty in my life. I don't need to worry about being the guy. I don't have to win it no more. I'm there to hang out with my friends and have a good week. And my girlfriend flew out, and it just so happened that my buddy from Arizona, James Rodriguez, him and his wife had tickets, and they had some stuff going on, and they couldn't use their tickets. And he's like, "Hey man, you want these tickets?" I'm like, "You serious, bro?" So he had some killer seats. He gave me some free tickets. I was like, you know what? This my mind's gonna be made up. I'm gonna take her over there, let her get the experience and check out, see what it's all about, you know. And she loves dirt track racing. Um, we go to a lot of dirt late model shows and some sprint car shows and stuff, like when Outlaws are around. And she we love dirt track racing. So
So
being in Tulsa,
did she get pelted by marshmallows or no?
we did no, we weren't top row rowdies. We weren't on the back straight. We were over in turn 4, in kind of like the VIP section over there. So it's a little quieter. Yeah, the top row rowdies are they're pretty nuts. I used to sit back there with them 10 years ago. So if you ever hear stories about me with the top row rowdies, they're probably true, but I won't admit to them.
Yeah, so I'm like, I have to experience it, you know. So I was egging them on. Oh my gosh, they were raining down on me, just getting me everywhere. It was fun. A good group of people. So, like I said, I went to RC Chili Bowl, so got to spend a little time with you before the race. Well, then you were going to race, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna really see behind the scenes, right? And you were up on the driver's stand. A couple things that resonated with me was people were definitely, and I'm not gonna say what night I was there, what heat race, or who was in it, because I really didn't know the guys other than you. But you could tell guys were running a lot harder when they got up to you. And honestly, some of them maybe racing over their head a little bit. And you would, 9 times out of 10, when this happened, you were in this particular heat race, you were getting the worst of it. You were literally getting knocked off the track. And I quickly,
So I'm pretty sure I know exactly which heat that was too. But I mean, hey, but honestly, sometimes it happens. It's one of those things where that is literally the biggest oval race of the year, any form of oval, and there's a lot of racers and a lot of different skill levels, and classes aren't really separated by skill level. It's just, you want to race this class, you race this class.
Right.
And one of the most difficult things about that event is the vast majority of tracks coast to coast right now are extreme high bite rubber tire tracks, where you're basically running on slick tires. There's so much grip that slicks work better than a treaded tire. Well, Chili Bowl is actual loose dirt. The track crew does a really good job to give you a true loose dirt track, and you're on a specific spec tire of some sort. And what that breeds is guys that don't have experience on that track and actually have no experience on that tire and don't know how to prep that tire are then put in a situation where each heat's got 1 or 2 of the top pros in the country, and then you got second tier, third tier guys, and you got a bunch of new guys that are there just doing the best they can. And that's where I try to emphasize, like, the pro guys, man. Like, it got rough, but I'm not mad at a guy, because some guys make mistakes. You know, it's we're playing with toy cars, and we're a bunch of amateurs. Mistakes are going to be made. It's up to the pro guys, instead of telling the amateur guy, "Hey man, you suck. Get out. You don't belong on the track with me." You should say, "Hey, I saw you struggling. Let me see your tires. Let me take a look. See if I can help you get your stuff better. And that's where the guidance of the top tier drivers and help from top tier drivers can really improve our sport and our genre. And that's really what I try to do. I try to be that the positive attitude that has the desire to help people and show people how to do things. And if I'm doing a good job, then I help a lot of guys that day. That's how I look at it.
Yep. So that brings to me up a comment and then also a question. So my comment was, when you were up on the stand and racing with the other drivers, the main things I saw was before the race started, you're doing knuckles or, hey, have a great race, to like everybody on the stand with you. And then during the race, a couple of things happen, and I'd look at you, no rolled eyes, no shaking your head, nothing. You were just like, okay, just
cooler than a cucumber.
Got my car going again, and let's race toy cars, right? Yep. And then you came out with a video or a live on Facebook, and the whole premise was kind of what you just touched on, but I'd love to hear a little more deeper detail on it of, the established guys being in these races. And now it makes sense what you said about they're mixed up. You got a couple of pros and then you got second level, third level. That all starts to make sense now. But yeah, you kind of were not afraid to come out and say, hey guys, we need to be helping all drivers at all levels if we want them to be better. And I don't want to paraphrase it. I'd rather hear it from you. So what prompted you? I think it's things that happened at the RC Chili Bowl. What was finally prompted you to want to do that video?
Well, I witnessed a couple guys walking off the driver's stand, yelling at some other guy that's there for the first time. Some guys that know better, some sponsored guys, top tier racers, literally yelling at guys walking off the driver's stand, telling them they don't even belong on the racetrack. Why are they even there? Stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, there's no room for that whatsoever. My motto towards RC racing is, hey, do you like racing? Yeah, cool. Do you like RC cars? Yeah, cool. Well, hey, we're friends. Let's have fun.
Yep.
We share interests, and RC racing is not for me or for you or for that guy. Like, RC racing is for everyone, and if you have the right attitude, it can be for everyone. And the more the merrier. The better each track's going to do. The better each business is going to do. The better racing is going to be. The more the merrier. Now, with certain attitudes, I've been around for a long time. I had a couple guys come over and mention that they wanted to change the format of the race next year, and this was all top tier pro guys, and talking about doing like an invitational pro class, and that to me that's like a slippery slope. What better way to tell people that they're not as good as you than to exclude them? So like I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna go, and I know there's a lot of guys that, and I'm not trying to have a big head or anything. There's a lot of guys around the country that want to go to that race for a chance to race with a guy like me or some veteran that's a top tier racer. The chance to be on the driver's stand next to someone like me and race, like that could be the thing, or any of the top guys. Just if I told you can come race RC Chili Bowl, but you can't race against any of the top guys because you're not good enough. Like, I don't think that's ever a good look.
Well, it's the same thing that's happening on the opposite side of the street, right? I mean, my kid ran midgets, and we hadn't gotten to the Chili Bowl yet, but back in the day, you could be in a heat race with Tony Stewart and Rico, and
yep.
It wasn't based on talent grading. It was based on, this is what you came up with. This is the heat race you're in. Go race.
Yep.
So it's just that same theory in RC, and obviously, if it's made dirt track racing, that's what's made dirt track racing as exciting and as fun as it is, because he shouldn't go into it. Tony Stewart shouldn't go into heat race, and no matter where he starts, he's just going to blow everybody away. Maybe something happens and he doesn't win the race, but maybe a local kid or an older driver that's what he does. He can afford a sprint car, beats Tony Stewart. That's like life changing, right?
Yeah.
And for these RC guys, it's the same thing.
that's how you catch your break. You do really well at an event like that, and you get your break. You know, there was one time when I went to the RC Chili Bowl, and nobody knew who I was, and they're like, "All right, who's this kid?" You know, and or any typical event. I mean, I remember my first time I went to a national event was in Pennsylvania in 2001. There was not one person in that building that knew who I was, and I won my first national event I ever went to. And when I left, they all knew who I was, and it was pretty. I had no expectation. It was pretty awesome to experience that. So it
Yeah.
was pretty cool. But
I think it's good that we talk about that too, because it applies. I mean, not just the RC Chili Bowl, but it applies at every track. And we can bring it right down to one RC, because you do have you got some wheel guys out there, guys that have raced, 10th scale, 12th scale, whatever, for many, many years. They jump into a one RC and they're like, oh, yeah, this is no big deal. And then they go out and dust everybody. It's just fine. But to the point, right? Yeah, you're going to have some less talented drivers. But again, we're playing with toy cars. Help them.
So we've got in the last couple months, we've had a new kind of group of guys coming out, and there's some kids that race at my place that are super fast. Their dad does all the work on their cars, sets them up, and they race outlaw carts at Millbridge Speedway, right down the street from us. And kids are fast. The kids won championships out there. They're racers. They understand racing in general. And the kids have the fastest cars out there because their dad works on them really well. And we all share data. We don't like keep secrets at the track in general. We all help each other go faster and whatnot. And the only downside to the kids right now is they're kids. They're young. They're excitable, and we're having to teach them how to learn how to race clean and how to learn how to race and make passes and race smart. And in turn, while they learn this, it's going to help them in their big car racing. Also, they're going to tear up less equipment. They're going to run smarter. They're going to be a little more calculating on their moves, and it's going to benefit them across the board. So, it's one of those things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then they see that fellowship of other drivers helping other drivers, right? Being humble, being respectful of one another. They can take that to their asphalt lace track or wherever it may be that they're running on, and apply those same types of things. So there's a lot. This is a big deal, right? I mean, if you're involved in it and you have fun with it, it can really be a teaching moment for a lot of people.
The same, I try to tell guys, it relates to life. The way you treat your fellow racer at the track, it's a reflection of how you treat everybody in everyday life. If you're always talking down to somebody or being negative and whatever, that you might be that person that goes through a drive-through and talks down to the person in the drive-through. They're just out there trying to make a living. And there's one of the things that I've had a lot of conversations about lately is being kind costs you $0.00. So being ugly isn't going to get you nowhere. It's just being kind is free, and it'll get you a lot farther than having money will. So
that's for sure. But you got to be able to take that, that negativity too, and be able to compartmentalize that and throw that away so you can stay on that mindset. Yeah, and with racing, and one RC and getting together, especially at the underground, that's my time. That it kind of brings me back. Like, Ryan, stay focused on what's important here, and that's this group of people down here that are all just trying to have fun. Be competitive.
So literally, like today in my life, Monday we had a local news crew come to our place and film a little segment on our track, and they interviewed me and talked to a couple guys, and like that's the second time we've been on our local news channels. It's kind of frustrating because the point I want to get across in the 3 minutes of speaking I have versus the 2 5-second clips they pull out of it is never quite where you want it to be. And it's kind of hard watching a clip when the guy making the actual news story doesn't really understand what's going on. They kind of just misspeak and whatever. But anyways, long story short, we were on the news yesterday. I just posted on our Facebook page today, and it got shared by a bunch of guys from our area. And we have an off-road track that's like 35 minutes from us. and 8 scale off-road track, and they just been posting negative stuff on there all day on their page about, and like, so my girlfriend's all fired up. My girlfriend she's cool, but she gets super defensive. Like if somebody challenges me or talks about me, she gets all fired up and she's ready to go. And so she wants to come at these guys, and I have a bunch of guys that support me that are like, "Oh man, I'm gonna tell these." I'm like, "Nah, man, don't even post. Not even worth it." And just you got to compartmentalize things and focus on what's really important. Um, the fact that a fellow RC track in the same area would try to bash on that instead of saying, "Hey, maybe this track that brings entry level RC racers could actually like bring more racers to us and be positive," and they want to flip it to a negative and talk crap. So it's like
That's so
it's just one of those sad
ridiculous.
things.
Because
Yeah. So
you were right. These cars are entry level. They're crack. I'm staring.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I fell in love with this hobby, and I went out and bought myself a Losi Mini B roller. Did the Hack Fab late model conversion, and then I was
Right.
like, oh man, I really want to slash. I want to do the street stock stuff. So I went out and bought one. Did all
Right.
my mods. I have a McAllister body, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it looks hot. I should send you some pictures. And then, Dave was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. So I bought his car last week. So I got 2 slash street stocks. But that's the thing. It's addicting when you get into it. You want to move up because you want more speed. You want more fellowship. You want to race at a different track. We got trackside hobbies over by us here in Wisconsin, and they're 2 minutes down the road from my house. So it's like,
That's awesome.
I want to go run with those boys, and my fear is that I don't want to wreck anybody's race. So I'm waiting until next season.
So I know the guy that owns the place, Jamie. He's a real good dude. If you ever go in there and you want to start running there, first of all, don't worry about. A lot of guys are, I don't want to interfere with the season. Man, if you want to go race, go race. If someone's really that worried about a new guy coming in and whatever, then they're there for the wrong reasons. But I just say, if you're looking to get racing there, go see Jamie. He'll help you get squared away with whatever you need, and it's a good group of guys there. So
yeah, they really are. Every time I've kind of stopped in to pick stuff up or whatever, they've been very, very helpful. And in fact, that's how they kind of got me, was like they had an off-road race going on, and I think it was the Team Associated off-road race, and he's like, "Hey, what are you here for?" And I'm like, "I'm kind of getting into this." He goes, "Let me show you around." And he just took me and he's showing me all these different cars, and I'm just like, "Oh, take my damn wallet." But that's the thing about tracks, right? Support one another, support the hobby, allow it to grow. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing, and I think people just get so close-minded. You're not taking anything away from other tracks. And I'll be the first to defend you too. I mean, it's nothing. You're not doing anything wrong.
I just try to tell all my friends and everybody, hey, it's not worth arguing. If they feel that way and they want to bash because the news chose me and not them, I mean, it comes down to a couple of things. Maybe the news tried to contact them and they didn't get nowhere, or maybe the news went on Facebook and looked for a social media presence and didn't see much for them. I mean, there's. The news guy literally told me he searched for RC racing tracks in the area, and I was the first one that popped up, and he called me he called me and sent me an email and answered both of them within 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that made it easy.
Yeah. I mean, haters going to hate, buddy.
Yeah. What I'm curious, Murf, is just, you mentioned that, in the 3 minutes that you talked about, and then they take 2 little sound bites, and then that's supposed to be representation of your track. So we have great analytics, buddy. We got a decent audience that's listening. So if there is a message of what you wanted to get out on there, forum is yours, bud. If there's something that we haven't already talked about.
Well, one thing I got to say to racers, right now, the economy, the world, politics, everything, we're in a kind of scary place right now. And your local RC track is a small business. Support small businesses. You never know how close a small business is to going out of business. If you got that car sitting on the shelf that's ready to go, and head over your local track and race. And that entry fee might be what keeps that place in business for that next month. I know how tight it is right now. Trust me, it's tough. It's very tough right now. Inflation's been nuts. Taxes have gone up. Energy costs have gone up. commercial real estate's gone through the roof. Like everything's nuts right now, and it's really hard for these tracks and small businesses to stay open. So if you have an RC car and you love it and you want to keep your track around, please go support your local racetrack, and it'll mean a lot to the owners and to the fellow racers. So I hate to see cars sit on the shelf if they don't need to, But
yeah, shelf queens.
I really
that's a good point.
well, I mean, I have plenty of shelf queens, but those are built to be shelf queens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In general, I
And
don't
entry
really
fees aren't that bad. I mean, to go out
Right,
and race,
yeah.
$10, $20, 30, 40, even $50. Who cares? I can think of a lot of things I'd spend.
Try to go to a movie.
Yeah.
Try to get a
Well,
movie and some popcorn.
Yeah.
You almost got to take a mortgage out.
So anytime someone comes to my track and has a bad time, I say, "Hey, man, let's rethink this here." It's like, instead of you coming here and being pissed off and having a bad day and leaving mad, why don't you take your girlfriend, your wife? Don't take your girlfriend and your wife, because getting lots of trouble that way. But go to the movies, get popcorn and a Coke, and go spend $50-$60 that way, and you'll get yourself 2 hours of entertainment. Come to my track. We open at 4:00 and we race at 7. If you're there when I open my doors and you run 2 classes, you're looking at $30 entry fees, and there's 5 to 7 hours of entertainment. And for $20-$30, it's really about as good as you can do. So
I mean, you got leather couches and everything over there, so you can comfy watching,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun hobby, buddy, and that's the thing, and that's a good message that you're putting out there is, support the local business. You're doing you're doing so much too. You're doing I can't imagine it, like you're like the busiest man in RC, at least from what I can tell, because of everything you've got going on. I mean, how many divisions do you actually run at Race City?
Well, we used to run a lot of different other things. Like we used to run 10 scale road course, that kind of faded out. We ran 10 scale oval racing, that faded out. We ran 10 scale off road. I mean, basically all we run now is 1RC, but at our track, we have, I guess, technically 8 or 9 classes. Depends if we have a rookie class that night. Monday nights, we don't usually have a rookie class, but when we run Fridays or Saturdays, that's more of a family-friendly night, then we'll have a rookie class. But yeah, so we run EDM class. We run we call them UMP modified, it's a regular dirt modified. We have a midget class. We have 2 sprint car classes. We have 2 late model classes and 2 asphalt modified classes. So we have a bunch of classes there.
I think you also said you get like 70 to 80 drivers a night.
So the last 3 months we're averaging, I think, 68 on Monday nights.
Those are like really healthy classes. I mean, that's like, 10 cars a class. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been good. Like our biggest class is typically crate late model. We've had a couple C mains there. It's good. It's great to have the support and the turnout. I mean, we always have solid late models. I always say late model is the best class because it's the easiest to drive, the easiest to get running good. They have wide tires, so the car is pretty forgiving. So that's usually our biggest. We usually get on a 70 entry night, we'll probably have 10 super late models and probably 13 to 15 crate late models. So
wow, and and then I'm sorry, Murph. We could keep talking all day, man. But so here's the thing. We got all these cars coming out all the time. We had the asphalt modified. You mentioned. There's a 1RC has definitely a timeline in which they release new cars because all of us nerds want a new one.
Yeah,
and who knows what it's going to be? But I mean, as a promoter, what are you doing here? I mean, you've got to. How do you keep adding all this stuff? I mean, that's a lot going on.
So if you pay attention to like 1RC releases, the target release has kind of been September for a new car. The last couple of years with COVID and shipping and freight issues. And that kind of stuff, it's been a little later. I don't know, like I can't say like a definitive, they aim for September, but just if you look at their release dates for the first 4 different vehicles, what was supposed to be for the first 4 vehicles, it should have been right along the lines of September releases. Now it's been December, January, February because of freight issues. I guess the one thing about the timing is the the like any RC car, they basically get 6 cars per box, and you'll get probably 36 boxes per pallet. You're going to end up with half of a shipping container, full of 1RC stuff, maybe even a full shipping container if you get enough stuff. I mean, I know they stay pretty busy and move a lot of stuff, but when you got that much stuff you're doing, it's coming across on a boat. And if you pay attention to what's going on in California with the ports and whatnot, it's kind of a nightmare out there, and they're actually working on more legislation to make it more of a nightmare.
Yeah.
But so I know there is several months delay on the last few cars as far as getting them released, and it's all been freight related. So
yeah, and I think people are understanding of that. I know I was when RC was talking about the asphalt modified, and it's kind of like, hey guys, shipping, get it. We're all living that. We're all feeling that pain, unfortunately.
Well, and a lot of guys may not know, but in order to try to get those cars released to the public, they paid extra to have the first batch air freighted in.
Wow.
And the cost for that is like almost triple. So, I mean, the profit margin that they see on the cars, they about cut it in half, if not even less profit margin, just to get them released so that the public can get them out there. I mean, from a manufacturer standpoint, it doesn't make sense to spend all this money to develop a car and then to sit on it because you can't get it out there,
Yeah.
So I get it. But as far as the classes and stuff, at our track, we were trying to run a stock class and a mod class for each style of car. It's tough when we know that 1RC is going to put out a new car pretty much once a year, approximately. We can't have a stock and mod of 8 different cars. So, I mean, if there's one car a year, we'll have to definitely streamline classes. And that's the hard part is telling the guy, hey, I know you have this midget, but we're not going to run midgets anymore. So we're still going to run a midget class. We just won't run 2 midget classes, which we've already cut that down. When the UMP or the Midwest style dirt modifieds came out, we narrowed up midget to 1 class. And now the asphalt modified got released. We added 2 classes for those. So I basically told my racers in January, I said, all right, this is a deal. For the next 3 months, I'm going to look at your turnouts, and whichever class is the lowest is probably going to go away. And it's going to be between our midget class and our non-wing sprint car class. And our non-wing sprint car guys really haven't responded, but our midget guys said, hey, I don't want to lose this class. So it's pretty much written on the wall now that our non-wing sprint car class is going to go away. And we've been averaging 2.8 cars a night. So, I mean, not enough to really run them. If we have 2 cars sign up, I'll just say, hey guys, we're not going to run them tonight, because it's not enough to justify the 15 minutes of extra race time through the night,
Well, and I'm sure most drivers are like the rest of us, where we can easily run multiple divisions. So it's not like we're singling a guy out here,
Yeah, especially with that, because they can just throw a wing on it. If they love to run the sprint, then throw a wing on it, right?
Yeah. So we still run our wing sprint. So we're not going to run. So this year at our April Fool's race, we're not running the non-wing sprint car class. That's going away. But I mean, we still have a regulated midget class, a regulated late model class, a regulated asphalt mod class. There's still 3 stock classes for our place, but everything else is pretty much unregulated. So our guys like the faster stuff.
Sure,
so.
Our guys too. So I got to put the promoter hat on for a minute. You said we could throw anything we wanted at you. You said just ask
anything
away.
You want.
Anything we want.
Yep.
So being the promoter of the RC Underground, I got to ask, Murf, are we ever going to get you there?
I would say the answer to that is probably yes. Desire to go is, I would say, like, I'm 96% like, let's do this. The only thing is finding a race for me, like this is the hard part for me. I only have a couple free weekends a year, and I basically plan what I'm doing 6-8 months in advance. Like, I know for myself, I'm scheduled to go to a race in Missouri next weekend, which was kind of a last minute deal. I got my flight booked and whatnot, but I don't know if I'll be able to go. I got to tie up some loose ends around here. I might have to skip out on that race. After that, my next race is going to be like April 14th in Alabama at the St. Jude's charity race. That's the number one way to guarantee I'll be there. You throw a charity race, I'm there. Put on a big money race, odds are I'm not going to show up. Put on a big race where I can win and donate money to a cause, I'm there. So like, I'm not a big fan of the super big money. I'm not a big fan of the super big money races. But if a track can put up $1,000 to win, I would love to see a track say $1,000 to win, and you make a list of charities, and first place winner gets to put $1,000 from their track, their local track, or them and their group towards it, or whatever. And then second place gets to choose a charity for this much, and third place man, I would be there in a heartbeat. I love doing things for charity. There's a lot of people out there who are less fortunate and can use a little help. And I've seen best friends go to punches over $100 to win. So I don't necessarily like money races. Unfortunately, a lot of tracks, their annual big race is a money race. So I mean, I will go to them, but you're a lot more likely to get me there for a big charity race.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
All kidding aside, I mean, I know we talked about this a little bit at RC Chili Bowl, so that's why I knew I could throw that one out there. And you said some very nice things about how you'd like to be there. So I listened that day too. So next year, so you're off the hook this year, buddy. We know you're super busy, but we're gonna honestly.
I wouldn't say that it won't be this year because I got a lot of guys that run at my place to say, hey man, when we going racing?
Okay.
So
we only got after Saturday.
Right?
We only got 2 left. We got one in April and we got one in May. I'll get you some info. But next year, I expanded that because I thought of a couple things. One, if you were to come to town, or some other drivers who have wanted to come into town, you honestly don't want to take a gamble coming to Milwaukee in January or February or even December. I mean, we get hit with nutty weather.
I hear you.
But so we're starting in September and we're going to stay all the way into May. So that beginning and ending races should be some pretty good weather for multiple reasons. Because, if you're going to come in, don't come in for a day. Don't come in for 2. Come in for a few. And trust me, we'll make it well worth your while. We'll go out and have some fun on top of having some fun racing RC cars.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you can put on a race where it works schedule wise and I can make it, I'll try to bring 2 or 3 of my buds from my place. And I got some guys there's a couple guys at my place that I would bring that challenge me every time I run, let alone we'd go in there and try to lay it on your guys. So
yeah, well, you just got to tell them, we're promoting it as America's fastest RC 5th mile. So, they at least got to get a shirt, they at least got to put it on their bucket list and say they were here.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, you're just so darn busy, Murf. And, you've got obviously you've got your own hobby store, you've got your track, you're doing promotion, you're running other races throughout the country, but there's other stuff that you do too, right? I know you've been you got a lot of products too that you push or you promote and that you build.
Yeah. So I have a brand, Triple X Power Lab. We do motors and batteries for 10 scale stuff. Ceramic bearing sets, stuff like that, bearing oils. And then I also, Talent in a Bottle Tire Prep is a company I own. I don't really tell the whole world. I don't advertise it like I own it, but a lot of guys have figured it out over the years. We don't advertise. We don't sponsor anybody. Everybody that buys it because they know it's the good stuff. I think we've won over 40 RC Chili Bowl A-mains with our tire prep since we started. It's one of the most popular preps out there. And like I said, not because we're giving people product or anything like that. It's because people believe in it. So other than that, there's, I don't know, I am busy, but I mean, I don't ever want people to think I'm too busy because I do my best to answer questions anytime someone sends me a message or whatnot. I try to be available, and my girlfriend understands. She knows, like, we'll be at dinner and my phone will go off and she'll be like, she knows I make a living selling stuff. So, but by being the guy that answers the questions and answers the messages, guys have gained a loyalty and a rapport with me, and they know I'm not going to lie to them or give them bad information. So
yeah, there's
that's been good.
So we're on that,
I don't know.
Right. I was just gonna say, as we're on that topic, why don't you let people know where they can get a hold and find out some stuff, like the website for Race City and any of those products, please, or phone numbers, whatever.
To Yeah, to be honest with you, I just do everything off Facebook right now. I had websites for all the stuff, and it was such a pain in the butt because I'm super low tech. That's one of the reasons I haven't got my podcast going and all that stuff is because I'm low tech and I don't have time right now to sit down and learn that stuff. I got some friends that want to help, but I've been so busy. Haven't really had any opportunity to. We used to use our Facebook pages. Race City Speed Factory is my track. We sell 1RC batteries and regulators and stuff like that. And Talent in a Bottle, it's a Facebook page. And Triple X Power Labs also. The good news is I haven't really been racing much, so I haven't had to work on 1RC stuff, my own personal stuff as much.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much, when it comes to wrenching, I take a long time to do stuff. And my motto is if it's worth doing the right way. And
Amen.
I'll tear a rear end apart 20 times till I get it where it feels the way I want it to feel. And it's not really conducive to having a good life, but my cars work pretty good. So
there's no question about that. I mean, we see it. So listen, Matt, we've taken a lot of your time, and we know for you, it's family first, in your business. So we can't thank you enough on behalf of Dave and I and this podcast for you taking the time with us today, man. It's so cool. And, everything you see on, Facebook and all the stuff you post, you're just such a real guy. And the fact that you're willing to help other racers, you promote this hobby that we've got. We're just grateful for you. I know it's a little bit of fanboyish, buddy, but you got to know what you're doing for this hobby that we all have. And without you, we'd all be struggling a lot. So the fact that you've got all this knowledge and you're willing to share it, and racers that aren't racing 1RC, check out the Chassis Tuning Guide, Chassis Tuning 101 by Matt. I think you're up to what, 9 chapters now, or is it?
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's a fantastic read. Everybody print it out and put it in your pit box. A great reference tool, and grateful for that because you could have made quite a few bucks off of that thing.
It doesn't matter what I ever accomplished as far as racing. I tell guys all the time, what matters at the races is not what happens on the racetrack. It's all the memories and the fun times in the pits.
Yep.
So no one's going to remember where you finished in that race, but everyone's going to remember that funny thing that happened in the pits. So I always told myself that it doesn't matter where I finish. What matters is who I am and what I left behind as far as helping guys. And all the years I spent trying to learn chassis setup and geometry and all that stuff and how and what to do when, if I die and don't share it with people, it's worthless. So I started writing that, and it was really just kind of a thing like meant to be somewhat of a legacy. If something happened to me, at least I could have shared my knowledge that I learned,
Well, we're grateful for it.
Yeah, and it's super flattering. Like every race I go to around the country, not one, not two, but 3 or 4 people come up and thank me for writing it. And man, it gives me goosebumps every time. And I try to be as real as possible and consistent and honest with everything. And I just want guys to know, man, just if you're ever in a bad mood, man, take a step back and think about it. Like as far as RC goes, if you're not spreading positivity, you're not spreading anything worth spreading. So try to keep your attitudes in check and do RC for the right reasons, and be positive, be that guy that adds something to your local race program, not the guy that's a cancer that takes something away from it,
That's right. And what do you always say, right? We're just a bunch of guys, people playing with toy cars, So
yep. Bunch of like-minded guys playing with toys.
That's right. Sorry, I got it a little wrong, but I keep that in the back of my
close
head.
Enough.
Close enough for horseshoes, man. I always say. This is not only has this been fun talking to you, getting this opportunity to kind of let people know about Murf Dogg, right? Matt Murphy, the guy. It's been a kind of a great lesson in character, and you've got great character. It comes through your passion for this hobby is very cool. And I'm glad that we're giving people another avenue to understand kind of you. So this has been a lot of fun for me. Again, we're all friends together because, like you said, right? Oh, you race, you dig RC too? Yeah, so we're friends.
All right, Mr. Murf, we're going to let you go. We're sure you got a million things on your list to get done, and we just appreciate we were on that list. And, man, we could unpack a lot of stuff still. So hopefully down the road, either we can get you back on our podcast, or if you end up launching yours, man, we'll definitely be listening. And
yeah, sounds good.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, anytime you need somebody, give me a holler. I mean, Thursdays are my empty day, so.
Are they really, though?
Give me a holler.
Right?
I mean, literally, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
Wednesday, Thursday, I don't usually, well, we our Speed Factory softball team isn't playing this spring, so my Thursdays are wide open.
Nice.
So.
Okay,
But,
Murf, thanks again.
so.
Have a great night. We appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much, buddy.
All right, man. You guys take care.
You've been listening to RC Underground Radio. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, drop us a line at rcuradio@gmail.com. We're curious to know, what do you like? What don't you like? Who would you like us to talk to?
Sounded really weird.
It was weird, but you know what I meant. We're talking about racing, so...
okay.
You can find us on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. See you next time on the RC Underground Radio Podcast.
I am a BB in a boxcar.